If you are a dad with daughters or about to become one, this video is gonna change the way you show up for them. Now, for the past 10 years, I've been a girl dad, but it wasn't until my divorce where it had me standing in the kitchen with a brush and a YouTube tutorial trying to figure out how to make a French braid at 40 years old. That's when I realized there's no rule book for what a dad can do and what a dad can't do with his daughters. And that realization, it changed everything. And if you ever felt like there are things you've left to mom because that's just how it's always been, then this video is gonna change that for you, because every day you leave the connection on the table, that's another day that your daughter's growing up without the version of her dad that she actually needs. So here are the 3 things that I learned raising daughters that not only made me a better girl dad, but made my daughters proud to call me their dad. Starting off with lesson number 1. There is no rule book. A dad, we're caregivers too. Everything that we've been leaving to mom or thought you should be leaving to mom, right? Us dads, because it's not our job, it's wrong. Not only are these our jobs and our responsibilities, but some of them are even the best bonding moments we could ever ask for with our kids. And the moment we realize this is the moment the relationship we have with our daughters begins to change in ways that we can't even imagine. For years before my divorce, the division of labor in my house, it looked like most houses. I handled certain things, their mom handled others, and without ever saying it out loud, we had both decided that the hair, the emotional conversations, the getting ready for school, that was her lane. Not because anyone told us that, but because there was a set rule in place, right? That's just because it's how it's always been. And that's how we as men, that's how we're raised. And I never questioned it until the day I had to. And I'll never forget the exact moment I realized that maybe I should have done more of the caretaking. And I can tell you guys a specific moment where I had to, for the first time, the solo dad experience, where I had to do a little girl's hair, the specific moment where I was super stressed out and had no idea what I was gonna do. So it was just me and the girls. I was so excited to spend some quality time with them. And of course, little girls, beautiful little girls, which I'm blessed to have, you gotta do their hair. And I didn't wanna be the typical dad where, they don't do the hair, or they drop them off at school and their hair doesn't look good or disheveled, and they just have the teacher do it. So I tried. And I was brushing, and I was using the wrong brush. There's apparently a wet brush and all these different brushes, and I was doing a horrible job. So then, I have little girls, I'm on my phone on YouTube, and I'm trying to figure it out with them, which made it even crazier because they're not paying attention because they're obsessed with watching YouTube. So first try, no good. Second try, no good. 7th try, no good. Finally, it was like the 8th or the 9th try, and I think there was some kind of a semblance of a basic pony that I was able to get done. So finally, I thought they were gonna be late for school, and I was gonna get all the haterade from their teachers and from the school. I was able to do their hair, drop them off at school, and everything was good. And I was like, you know what? That wasn't the biggest deal. I just had to try it. Like, I was just in my head too much. The next day, right? Drop them off at school, same thing. First try, good. Drop them off. And I was like, you know what? I spent so much time thinking that this is the other party's role, the co-parent, or this isn't the dad's role. So number 1, I was disappointed in myself for not trying fast enough. And number 2, we had the best time, the best quality time doing it. It's like the best story that we always tell when I started doing the hair, how horrible it was initially. And I realized that it was time to put aside all the limiting beliefs, all the misinformation us dads are told, because it's in those moments, some of the caretaking moments, specifically me doing their hair, that had the best time and we have the best stories. So if you don't want to be the stereotypical clueless girl dad who's only seen as the comic relief or the manly man, then I encourage you to take as much part in the caretaking as the mom of your daughters. And if you don't know where to start, an easy strategy that I used was to write down 3 things that you've never done for your daughter that you have always left to the mom. Now pick one of those things and do it this week. Do her hair, attend her dance practice, sit with her and ask her how she's feeling. If you try weekly and then daily, and then you feel more accomplished, you'll feel more connected with your daughters, and the most important part, you'll build the habit of being a better caretaker for your daughters. You don't have to be perfect. In fact, messing up is part of the relationship that you're building with your girls. Happened with me, it was the best time. My first French braid was nowhere near perfect, but my daughters, they remember it like it was yesterday. And that's the goal. As girl dads, that's the goal that we should be striving for. Now that you understand there's no rule book for what a dad can do for his daughter, if you really want to build on that, you have to understand that showing up once and being a caretaker once, it's just not enough, guys. Because the dads who change their daughters' lives are the ones who show up consistently. But before we get into that, if you're really serious about being the best girl dad that you can be, and you want to know where you stand right now, guys, I have a free assessment that you can take, and it goes over the 5 pillars of fatherhood, so you know exactly where to focus your energy. It takes less than 2 minutes to complete, and it gives you a great starting point on everything we're talking about in this video. Now the link is in the description, so go take it right now, guys, and while you're doing it, I'll keep going. And this ties perfectly into the second lesson I learned being a girl dad, which is be present and show up authentically. Now, the reason I added show up authentically is because it's not enough to just be physically there. Your daughter doesn't just need your body in the room. She needs your mind, your eyes, and your heart there too. And she will notice the difference every single time you're not. Now, there's a difference between being present and being there, right? So being there means you showed up, you drove to the game, you sat in the stands, you were physically in the room, but being present means your daughter could look over at any moment and know without a shadow of a doubt that you were locked in on her. And that difference between being there and being present is the difference between a daughter who feels seen by her dad and a daughter who is still searching for that feeling 20 years later. Take, for instance, me. I was the biggest violator of this. So my youngest daughter, she's like a phenom at soccer. She's so amazing at defense. But when I was watching her, for some reason when they were little, they put them in goal. So she was in goal and her team was crushing. I wasn't paying attention, right? I was on my phone. I was checking emails. I was probably looking at stupid YouTube shorts. No offense, YouTube. And she noticed. And I didn't realize she noticed. And they won like 12-0. And I was like, Gabby, you played so good, blah, blah, blah on the way home. She's like, Daddy, you don't even care. You don't even care to watch. You weren't even watching. I'm like, what are you talking about? I watched the whole game. She's like, no, when I went in goal, I was watching you the whole time and you were on your phone the whole time. And I was like, oh man. So even at the smallest moments when I don't even think she was paying attention, because she wasn't even really even playing, she realized that I wasn't really present. It was at that time I promised myself, it was actually last year, that I'm gonna do a better job showing up. That when she has things, I'm gonna put my phone away, even though I have to stare at her playing with the daisies, right? I made a promise to her and a promise to myself that I was gonna do better. So for the next time you're with your daughter, right, at her game like me, or at dinner, or at bedtime, make the decision before you walk in the door. So whatever's happening at work, it could wait. Whatever's on your mind, it gets left in the car. Because the window you have with her at this age, it's closing faster than you think. Take it from me. And she's not going to remember that you were there. She's gonna remember whether you were present. So show up, and then actually show up. Now, there are a ton of things I do to make sure I am following this rule. I put my phone in the other room. It's hard, but I do it. I take deep breaths in my car before I walk in my house. I make sure I make eye contact with her. I have a positive facial expression. I ask open-ended questions. All these strategies work, and you can take them and try for yourself. But if there is one thing I learned from this journey as a girl dad, is that everyone has their own way of practicing presence. You need to find your method of ensuring you will show up authentically and practice it every day. So now that you understand the lesson of what it really means to be present for your daughter, if you really want that presence to build something lasting, you have to understand the presence without emotional connection is just proximity. And proximity is not a relationship. Now this brings us to the third lesson I learned raising daughters. Now emotional connection and communication matter more than anything else you ever do as a girl dad. Because at the end of the day, your daughter doesn't just need a caregiver. She doesn't just need someone who's only present. She needs to know that the person she loves her back just as hard. And it's your job to make sure she will never have to wonder about any of that. So here's what I've learned about daughters specifically. Now, they're emotional processors. They feel everything deeply, and they need a safe place to put those feelings. And for a long time, the world told dads that safe place was mom. Those emotional conversations were mom's territory. That if your daughter was struggling with something, the natural instinct was to send her to mom. But here's what nobody told us. When a dad creates that safe emotional space for his daughter, it does something to her that nothing else can replicate. It builds a kind of confidence and security in her that she will carry into every relationship she ever has for the rest of her life. The way your daughter learns what love looks like, what it feels like to be heard, valued, emotionally safe, she learns it from you. So as a guy, I grew up to not have feelings, to just man up and just figure things out. But I'm blessed with two daughters. And guess what? Those two daughters are emotional creatures. And it was recently that I could tell my oldest daughter was struggling with something, which was she didn't know how to tell me that I was doing a bad job being present. So I was on my phone a lot, believe it or not. And she didn't feel like we had a safe space for her to be able to communicate that to me. So it only took her crying, which then makes me cry. And we had like this really cathartic moment where I realized she just didn't feel comfortable communicating. So we created this really cool thing. So we actually go to what's called the office. P.S. guys, my office is actually my laundry room. So we do this cool thing. So if my older or younger daughter, if they ever want to speak about anything and they just want to tell me how they feel, I made a promise to them that number one, we'll go into the office, the laundry room. Number two, I'll pick them up, put them on the dryer, shut the door so the sister can't listen, which she still does. and I will just look her in the eyes, I'll ask her the open-ended questions and let her speak. And they do that, and they speak, and they speak. And I don't interrupt, which is hard. I don't fix their problems, which is even harder. But it was through that moment where I realized I had to show up better and be able to communicate better with them that we created this cool thing called The Office, gave them this open opportunity to communicate better, and then from that moving forward, our relationship has improved drastically. So here's what emotional connection actually looks like in practice. Now first, create a safe space for her feelings. When your daughter comes to you upset or struggling, your first instinct as a dad, it's gonna be fix it. I mean, that's mine, but don't. Sit with her in it first, right? And ask her how she feels before you offer a solution. Now second, tell her you love her every single day. Not just when it's natural, every single day, out loud, without waiting for her to say it first. Now third, share yourself with her, right? Tell her about your day. Tell her about something you struggled with. Apologize. Let her see that you have feelings too and that it's okay to talk about them. Because the moment your daughter sees her dad being emotionally open, that's the moment she learns an emotional connection, that it's safe. And a daughter who feels emotionally safe with her dad is a daughter who will always come back to him no matter what life throws at her. Remember, it's the best feeling in the world for a kid to know that the person they love is a person that also loves them back. Now there's one more thing that I want to leave you with before we go any further. Now something I started doing that has helped me open up as a girl dad and changed my mindset about what it means, I actually wrote my daughters a letter. So I want to read it to you guys. Danielle and Gabby, I want you to know that every single thing I've done as your dad, every fumbled French braid, every soccer game, every late night conversation, every moment I showed up and every moment I wish I had shown up better, all of it's been for you. You've made me a better man, not because you needed me to be, but because you deserve me to be. There's no rule book for how to be your dad. I've made mistakes, been distracted when I should have been present. I try to fix things when I should have just listened, but I've never, not for a single second, stopped trying to be the dad you deserve. And I need you to know that the best feeling in the world for me is knowing that the people I love most in the world love me back, and that's you guys. That will always be you. I love you both more than you'll ever fully understand, but I promise I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you feel it. Love, Dad. Now, if this resonated with you, I want to challenge you to do the same thing. Now, sit down tonight and write your daughter a letter. Now, it doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be authentic. Because a daughter has a letter from her dad that tells her exactly how he feels about her. That's a daughter who will cherish it forever. And if you're a girl dad, and you're so blessed just like I am, right? And you want to keep learning on how to become the best possible girl dad, make sure you watch my next video about 7 specific tips for girl dads, where we go into specific things that you can do to make you more prepared for your daughters. Super important if you're a girl dad, so make sure you watch it.